Hey all, Eskie here, bringing you another Deadlock replay review. So in this replay, we are taking a look at the new hero Mirage. Specifically, we're going to be watching Deathy. He is a guy that's been playing in a bunch of the recent tournaments and a content creator. Encourage you guys to check out his content. His content's really good. So I'm just going to explain the abilities here real quick for those who don't know. So you have Tornado, which basically gives you invulnerability frames and it dashes you forward. Anyone that gets hit will be lifted up and stunned, or just lifted up in the air. You have Fire Scarabs, which is basically a charged ability where you can throw out multiple Fire Scarabs over a duration. And this will give, you'll steal max health and you'll have minus bullet resist on the enemy. And then Jin's Mark, hopefully I got that right. Basically, you put a mark on the enemy. You'll see it when he gets this ability. It just has a number above their head in purple. And the more marks you have, eventually they'll be consumed and do damage to the enemy player. And then finally, Traveler. It's just basically a global teleport. You can see the tornado right there. Damn, Yamato's really low there. Both of them are pretty low, actually. He's got to be really careful here. A fully charged Yamato 1 early game is a very lethal, like does a lot of damage. So he's going to have to be really careful about that. And yeah, Traveler, it just buffs you basically and teleports you to a hero on the map, whether it's an enemy or an ally. So very powerful ultimate. And I really think you're going to see in this game and a lot of effective Mirage games, what you should see is Mirage is going to be in the side lane pushing with his ultimate up. And then whenever a team fight starts, he's going to teleport to that team fight to assist his team. So it really forces the enemy team into a difficult choice where do they want to be down a player in a team fight and counter the Mirage's push, or not counter the Mirage's push and try to have an advantage in the team fight. So Deathy got restorative shot here and healing right. And you can see the lane has been pretty tough so far. Yamato has a lot of harass early with her right click, which is the bomb explosion thing. And then especially if she gets a pretty fully charged 1 off on you. So she missed it there. Deathy hits a tornado there, gets a punch off. Might be able to kill the Yamato. He has a lot of health compared to her. He does have a 4 stack on her. Okay, so if you saw the damage there, that was Jin's Mark. So if you saw the 4x above her head there, that's the mark. And over a period of time, once it's done, it'll do damage. Going for the Yamato here. Got a heavy melee off there, a lot of damage. And yeah, it gets the kill there.
Is everyone okay?
So let's see what items Yamato got. So he does have extra regen. I think the difference there for that kill and really the power in the lane at that point was the fact that Deathy had so much health that Yamato had to basically sit really far back there. She did push forward there. You saw Deathy get up on the top there on the ledge and then jump down on top of her. I think Yamato had to play much further back there because Deathy had so much more health, mainly due to healing right. Obviously, restorative shot helps as well. Tornado in there. If you saw the chunk of health there, that was because of the tower's melee. It looks like Ivy has come over here to gank him. Yamato is low. He pops his healing right. Really good jukes on this Ivy. He's not getting shot, so he's actually gaining a lot of life back here with healing right. Pops his tornado there, and he's able to get out. So those are really, really good jukes there. Good gank from the Ivy. I think one of the things I don't see players in lower MMRs doing is coming from the middle lane to the side lane. When you see the enemy pushed up, it's very easy gank opportunities depending on which heroes you have. And yeah, so some more items here real quick. While Deathy's punching, he did just get nailed by that 1 there. And it's really hard in Yamato lanes to avoid the 1 all the time, which is why you're seeing him go a lot of sustain. So he did get monster rounds to help him with this lane. Keep the lane, off the tower and get that extra regen for all the Yamato harass. And so something I didn't know, if you guys saw there, so Yamato was charging her 1. Deathy popped his tornado underneath the bridge and actually hit Yamato. So there is the top of the tornado gets the kill there too. The top of the tornado can actually hit above, walls or bridges or anything like that. So good thing to learn there about the tornado. And yeah, so Deathy got the kill there, went pretty aggressive. He had the health advantage there. Ivy is back over in the lane. but I don't think Ivy's going to be able to do much. Ivy's goal here is just to keep the wave off the tower and farm the wave. So talking about the items here real quick, monster rounds, like we talked about, headshot booster just gives you a lot of extra harass in lane, and it's really good on characters like Mirage or Geist, because if you go look at the stat values, Mirage and Geist, I think, have the highest bullet velocity in the game, which makes it a lot easier to hit headshots. Characters like Warden, for example, would have very low bullet velocity and make it harder to hit headshots because your bullet takes longer to travel to the enemy. And then Ammo Scavenger just giving you that extra ammunition for your gun, and it gives you a lot of spirit power in the early game if you're hitting those last hits. And then Slowing Hex. Slowing Hex is just really good to, especially later in the game when you're going to be ulting or trying to gank people, making sure you can get that gank off. So Deathy did just face tank Yamato's 1 there. I don't think he necessarily cares at this point, because he has a lot more sustain. Ivy does ult him there, and they are going to get the kill on him. So Ivy's been very active coming over to this lane so far. So let's see what Deathy's got here. So the skill build order he went was Tornado, Jin's Mark, and then Fire Scarabs. So Tornado, you know, your survivability gives you a lot of distance that you can cover. Going aggressive on the Yamato here. Misses his Tornado. Yamato gets her 3 off on him. He has 2 stacks on his Jin's Mark. He has 4 stacks now. Did a lot of damage there. I don't think he's going to be able to get the kill, though. And so, yeah, so he's using his sustain advantage. So if you look at the Yamato, I'm actually very surprised he's only bought extra regen. I would expect more regen items at this point because he's losing that battle so hard. Healing Right is just giving Deathy so much extra health that he can push that Yamato really hard, chunk her down, and then come back at full life. You can see he's at full life right now. And then the skill build real quick, we're basically going Tornado build because, you know, we're going to get Echo Shard later in the game for the Tornado. So it's just been the 1 and the 2-pointer in Tornado right now. Going really aggressive on this Yamato. He does have a huge advantage in souls right now, which is another deciding factor in that. He's pushed up pretty far, though. The Ivy does come back over, and she's probably going to get this kill at this point. Ooh. Yeah, and Yamato comes in. So the reason he died there, you could see he got the tower and he went pretty aggressive on the Yamato. I think that was probably a mistake, though, considering the fact the Ivy has been very present in the side lane at that point. So I think a bit of an overextension there in my mind. You just have to really be paying attention to the map because Ivy can rotate so fast, especially if she ults. And so, yeah, so this build is largely Echo Shard Tornado build. So he's probably going to go all 5 in Tornado, if I remember correctly. And then he's going to be farming up to try to get an Echo Shard, probably around the mid game. And it looks like 2 more items here. So Mystic Shot. So this is more of a Spirit build because you're going to have Echo Shard. So Mystic Shot gives you that flat Spirit damage on your shot. And then Sprint Boots just for getting around the map. And yeah, so let's look at the state of the game here real quick. So 41 to 40, pretty even in souls wise. But if you look, so before he died there, really far up in the lane, Yamato actually had, I think, around 3.5k souls, and he was sitting at about 6k. So he had a huge advantage there, which is probably one of the deciding factors for why he pushed Yamato so hard. The Ivy just happened to rotate over there, and you weren't going to get a kill off on them. And because of that, Yamato's actually caught up a bit. So now Yamato's only 2k down. Although, because Yamato is still 2k down, Deathy can feel pretty confident in being far up in the side lane as long as he knows where some of the other heroes are. And he knows that Ivy and Shiva right there, he could definitely see him on the map. Probably doesn't know this Bebop's rotating over, so let's see what happens here. He does go aggressive on the Tornado with the Yamato. Yamato ults there. Bebop is ulting as well, so they're going to have to back out. He does die here, though. Let's see what happens to Viscous. And Viscous is going to die as well. Yeah, so really good rotation by that Bebop there. Once again, up a bit aggressive in the lane. I think it's generally fine if you do that. You just have to be very aware of where people are on the map. And then one more item here, slowing bullets. So just a really good weapon damage item if you're going kind of a hybrid weapon spirit build, which is really what this build is about. Obviously, you're going to get spirit damage from your Tornado, but a lot of the damage that Mirage is going to do is a weapon weapon damage. And I think basically the two builds I'm seeing a lot on Mirage right now. So he's ulting into this team fight. Let's see what happens. Finish the conversation after that. So he tornadoes the Ivy. The Ivy goes down very quickly there. So they have the advantage. Looks like Hayes is probably going to go down, though. They do get the Bebop kill, though. Hayes does die. He should be able to get this Yamato kill, although he does face tank a fully charged one from the Yamato. Yamato gets a heavy melee off there. Tries another heavy melee, but he does hit the tornado, and he's able to get that kill as well. And so, yeah, so what I was saying is that there's basically two builds I'm seeing on Mirage right now. There's a weapon build that really revolves around fire rate and intensifying magazine. And then the build that we're looking at right here is going to be the Echo Shard build, where you go full points in Tornado and you try to double Tornado people to basically make them not play the game while you kill them. And so, yeah, so he's gone full points in Tornado, and then he's gotten 1 point in Fire Scarabs and 1 point in Traveler, and then he just got 1 point in Jin's Mark as well. And so, yeah, so I think you see him playing Mirage like I would expect high-level players to play Mirage. He's sitting largely in the side lane when he has his ultimate. He's sitting there farming this side of the map, pushing the walker, trying to draw people over to that lane so that his team has the advantage on the other side of the map. He doesn't have his ultimate right now, so he is going to come over here and farm and try to play around his team. So that is one thing to keep in mind as Mirage, is when you have your ultimate and when you don't. Bebop tried a really cheeky hook right there. And so the 2-pointer he got here was the first one in Fire Scarab, so for that 15% bullet resist negative on the enemy. And then 2 more items here, Fortitude. That's just going to help you move around the map more, keep you healthy, obviously give you some weapon damage as well. And then Spirit Armor is his first armor choice. So if you look at their team right now, I would say they're basically all spirit damage. I guess it kind of depends on what Shiv goes. You can go weapon damage on Shiv or spirit damage. So Deathy is ulting here. Tornadoes the Shiv. They get the kill there. Popping the Fire Scarabs on the Bebop. Now he's chasing the Ivy down into Subway. Ivy is ulting here, though. I think they're still going to get the kill, though. Wow, that's a big ult by Bebop there to really back them off. So Yamato comes down. I think he's probably going to die here. Yamato does ultimate there. And then, yeah, Bebop rolls in, bombs him, and he's dead. So I think that was a good ult there, although it looks like they were at a disadvantage there because Viscous and Paradox were on the other side of the map. So I think it was a good idea, but I think that Bebop ult really turned the fight there. Ulting down ulting down the hallway there, it was just a ton of damage because Bebop ultimate is a bit of an AoE now. And yeah, so talking about spirit armor here, basically they're all spirit damage. Yamato, I would say, generally goes spirit damage now. Infernus is definitely spirit damage versus burn. Bebop spirit damage, so spirit armor is a great early choice here for an armor. And that's something you guys really need to be thinking about as you play the game. You shouldn't just autopilot bullet armor or spirit armor. You need to look at the enemy team. What damage are they going to be doing to me? And make your choice based off of that. So he did pop Tornado there. I think it was to dodge the Ivy's stone form, and they get the kill on the Ivy there. So they have a lot of map control now, so you should see them pushing at this point. I don't think they're going to be able to do mid-boss. Yamato is great at stealing mid-boss with her ultimate, and Furnace is great at stealing mid-boss with his ultimate. So even though they have a 3-person advantage, the death timers are still pretty low at this point in the game. So that would be a pretty risky mid-boss. I think you would have to have Yamato and Infernus dead at that point if you really wanted to try. So he just grabbed the casting buff there. I think that's another important thing to think about that I don't see lower MMR players doing is whenever buffs spawn, they have that icon, the circular icon here on the map and here on the map. Trying to grab those buffs, they are very, very powerful, especially if you get the right buff on the right character. So he has the casting buff right now, and that's going to give him, I think it's cooldown reduction in spirit, if I'm not mistaken. Does it say if I hover over it? It doesn't. So rotating over here, it looks like the enemy team's trying to do the earn. Grey Talon is ulting in here. Looks like he's going to get the ult off on the Ivy probably. Oh, nope, she dodged it with Stone Form. Paradox did hit her with Kinetic Carbine there, which slowed her down, and they were able to get that Ivy kill. It looks like the enemy team is going to get the urn, though. And yeah, so Deathy's saving a lot of money right now. I'm pretty sure he's going to save money for Echo Shard at this point, and that's really what this build revolves around. You saw him get a lot of tier 1 items. I don't think it's typical to get a lot of tier 1 items unless you're specifically going to be farming for a tier 4 item. So he does teleport onto the Yamato there. He's going for the Infernus. He knows he's low. So he does get the kill on the Infernus there. Yamato's right behind him. Grey Talon is here for support, and I think he's going to back out at this point. They're really, really deep in here. At this point, the Walker is still up if you look at the map. So yeah, one of the important things to be doing as Mirage is always looking at the map, always looking at the enemy heroes' bars, so you can always see their health here if they're invisible. So the reason he knew to ult there was he saw Infernus. He probably saw that Infernus was very low, so he ulted over there to get that kill. And he's probably going to buy Echo Shard at this point. So yeah, so he grabs himself an Echo Shard here, and then a Duration Extender. Coming around here trying to get this Ivy kill. Surely Grey Talon's going to get this Ivy kill if he doesn't. So he pops Tornado on the Ivy. I think it hit her. Yeah, it did hit her. Okay. Tornado's a little wonky. The hitbox is pretty big, so it can be hard to tell if you actually hit someone. And yeah, so basically the build revolves around hitting your Tornado on someone, popping Echo Shard, and then hitting Tornado again so that they're stunned for an extremely long time. And so yeah, so skill build here. So he did have the 2 in Fire Scarab, and he saved all the way up for the 5 in Fire Scarab as well for that extra max health steal. So they're going to do mid-boss off that Ivy kill. I actually think this is pretty risky. They probably do see Infernus in the side lane, though. So that could be a reason. Yamato's not going to be here either. So you just saw him pop Echo Shard there. So if you saw him, he stood off of Rejuvenator there to stop himself from getting stunned or, you know, having anything happen to him when they were going to try for the Rejuve steal. And then he tornadoed right as the Rejuve stopped or dropped down, and then he popped his Echo Shard and tornadoed again to make sure that his team was able to secure it. And yeah, so if you see his team is pushing with Rejuvenator, which is absolutely what you should be doing, but his ultimate is up. And he knows that he can push this lane and be present for the team fight. So he's probably either hearing comms or watching the health bars up at the top screen, knowing when the team fight's going to happen so that he can ult over and come back and so that they can be even there. And if you saw, the main reason he was in the right side lane is because they still have a walker over there. And to get one of the flex slots, you need to kill all of the walkers. So that's probably why he was pushing that lane. So he had to pop his Echo Shard Tornado to get out of there. He was pretty deep. Viscous did get a cube off on him, but Shiv is going to ult him there. We'll watch the rest of this team fight. So they are getting pushed back here. Looks like Bebop actually hooked the Ivy out there. Probably did not mean to do that. So yeah, it looks like they probably went too deep there. And that is something that can happen pushing into base. The base has such narrow corridors right there that it's so hard to get into sometimes. And that can make those team fights really hard to win for the team that's pushing. So popped his Tornado there. They are pushing here. I don't know how good this team fight's going to go, though. Infernus is still dead. It doesn't look like... Oh, wow. Okay, Viscous got the kill. He must have gotten hit by Grey Talon's ultimate there. The Jin's mark popped on Shiv again, and then Viscous was able to secure the kill. And yeah, so the reason that you want to push with the Rejuvenator is so you can take those risky team fights, and even if you lose, you're still able to be back in the fight very quickly because it reduces your death timer. So if you can see the state of the game right now, they were able to get the kill. So he just tornadoed, Echo Shard, and tornadoed right there. Really good cube by the Viscous to save him. He should be fine at this point. He popped his Fire Scarab there, threw some Fire Scarabs out. Viscous does get killed, though. It's an even team fight now, so they can still probably be up here. 3 of them still do have Rejuvenator, so this is not as risky of a team fight, but the people without Rejuvenator want to be careful because the death timers can be very long right now. And yeah, it looks like they're probably just going to back out here now that Rejuvenator's down. So what I was talking about there is the benefit of Rejuvenator is that it allows you to push and take risky team fights, and even if you lose that team fight, you're still able to be back up very quickly so that you can then push and take another team fight, especially if you're able to get a kill or two so that they're down a player while you have your full team up because you've had Rejuvenator and you have a shorter death timer. So that's one of the reasons they played so aggressive there. Even though they lost the Rejuvenator team fight, they were able to come back, push the base still. So let's talk about items here real quick. So he did imbue superior duration on his tornado to make it stun longer. He's got an improved cooldown just because this is a fairly ability heavy build. Those have been his 2 recent purchases. But yeah, I think you've really seen him combo the tornado now, where you basically hit tornado on people, you hit your echo shard, and then you hit tornado again, and they're just up in the air for such a long time. At that point, it's very hard for them to even play the game. And yeah, so looking at skill build here, so the next point he's gotten is in Jin's Mark, and I imagine he's going to max out Jin's Mark as well. I really think the ultimate is not super worth it to upgrade, except for the first point, which is the cooldown reduction. And yeah, so just farming the map here at this point, they have a decent lead. I would say 10k in the late game is not that big of a deal, especially depending on how it's distributed across your team. So the Ivy is really, really low on farm right now, but the rest of the team is actually pretty close to their team on farm. Obviously, you have Seven and Infernus being pretty close to their farm. So this is actually a pretty even game, even though Deathy's team is up here pretty heavily in walkers. The one advantage they have now, if you look, so the blue team is sitting on only 1 flex slot here, but Deathy's team actually has all 4 flex slots. So that is really the advantage they have at this point. And you want to be looking to fill those flex slots, which is why they're farming right now, because that's their main advantage at this point. Yes, they have a souls lead. And yes, it's actually getting a bit bigger at this point because they have so much map control and they're able to farm not only their side of the map, but also the enemy side of the map. You want to be farming and you want to use that souls lead and your flex slot lead to push your power level over the enemy teams. And yeah, another thing I want to talk about here, and if you see him, he's saving a lot of souls at this point. Itemization in the late game, you really should stop buying tier 2s, especially at this point, probably after 20 to 25 minutes. So just tornado the 7 there. And yeah, so I think that shows you the power of the Echo Shard right there. So 7, he hit 7 with a tornado. 7 popped his ultimate. He popped the Echo Shard and then tornadoed the 7 again, and he was basically dead at that point. So hit a tornado on the Yamato. I think the Yamato was actually ulting there, so he missed the tornado. But yeah, the Yamato is just going to die here. And I think this is probably a game at this point. The one thing I did want to mention about late game itemization, though, is you really want to stop buying tier 2s at that point, maybe even tier 3s. You want to just be buying tier 4s so that your power level continues to spike, which is why you see him having saved so many souls. And yeah, that should be a game win at this point. I think a really good showcase of Mirage and the Echo Shard build. I did learn about this build from Deathy himself, so GG's all around. You know, Tornado, Echo Shard, Tornado, I think is going to be a pretty popular combo on Mirage, just basically eliminating the ability for some of the enemies to play the game. And yeah, just checking his skill build here. So he did get 5 in Jin's Mark, and then he kept going up in Traveler. Popping his Tornado there. Echo Shard and Tornado again. And yeah, that's a GG. If you made it this far in the video, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Comment on the video. Tell me what you guys think of the new hero. I think he's pretty sick. I think he's going to be pretty OP once people figure out the builds. It's just going to take some time to really optimize his play style. So thank you guys so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.